This huge decision from the ninth largest country in the world nearly guarantees at least one G7 country is going to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve next year. So, who is this $2.1 trillion giant? And how is this Bitcoin strategic reserve going to be valued at over $8.2 billion worth? So, just how big is Justin Trudeau resigning for Bitcoin and for the global economy? First, let's take a listen to what Justin Trudeau had to say himself about his decision to resign.
By what is in the best interest of Canadians. And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th.
So there you have it, folks. Justin Trudeau officially resigns as Prime Minister and is dropping out of the race. But why is this significant? Why Canada? Why is Justin Trudeau dropping out? So big for Bitcoin? Well, let's dive in to just how much he had previously attacked Bitcoin and what that all means. Because everybody famously knows the truckers convoy, what happened there, the freedoms and everything like that. We'll dive into a little bit of that later on. But he first said that he is not the right decision or the right choice for the Prime Minister of Canada. He plans to step down. He's been the Liberal leader for over a decade. And the Prime Minister of the fall, starting in the fall of 2015. So it'll end his nearly decade-long run as the Canadian Prime Minister. So who's up next? Well, it seems to be a shoo-in for Pierre Poilievre, at least according to Polymarket here. Now, Pierre Poilievre is very famous for a lot of things, especially his Bitcoin stance. Now, we're going to dive into that and just how bullish Pierre is on Bitcoin here in a second. But let's dive into more of just Canada and what this means for a potential strategic reserve. Well, like I said in the intro, Canadian's a G7 country, folks. So it's got $2.14 trillion worth of GDP, making it the ninth largest country in the world by GDP, and has a population of over 40 million people. So this could bring Bitcoin to over 40 million people. But I said in the intro that there's a very specific number of just how much Bitcoin or just how much the strategic reserve can be valued at. Now, I'll get into all of that in a second, but let's see why everybody is so bullish on Pierre Poilievre. And that includes David Bailey himself. He said, breaking, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau to resign this week. Pierre Poilievre will deliver Canada, a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So it seems like everybody is extremely, extremely bullish on Pierre, what he's going to do and what that is, going to look like for Bitcoin. Now, why are people really looking at, Pierre as a potential bull for Bitcoin and a Bitcoin strategic reserve? So here's the tweet itself in case you didn't believe me. But first, Pierre has been talking about Bitcoin for multiple years at a time. He even went to a famous restaurant down in Canada called Tahini's and even utilized Bitcoin to purchase tahini. Now, I got a notification that the volume is not working here, so maybe you cannot hear it, but he is, so I'll talk over it. It's our friends over at Tahini's. So he utilized Bitcoin to purchase Tahini's years ago, buy a delicious shawarma, and this video is from 2022. But a big issue with this is his political opponents used Bitcoin to attack him initially. They looked at Bitcoin as some sort of craziness, right? So he bought Bitcoin with or bought shawarma with Bitcoin. This video is from over nearly 2 years ago. But he's using this seat over here 2 years ago. But they're using this now to say, excuse me, I was looking at the YouTube tab. The YouTube video is over 2 years ago. I didn't switch that over for y'all. But Pierre is using this, they're saying, to boost his crypto campaign. This was written in January 7th, 2025, folks. That video was posted 2 years ago. So Pierre has been talking about Bitcoin for quite some time, looking at it and keeping a close tab on what it could mean for everything going around. But let's take a step back, right? What does Trudeau resigning really mean for everybody? Why is this super significant for not only Bitcoin, but for everybody involved? Well, inflation and other economic world lows kept toppling world leaders. Trudeau in Canada were one of those world leaders when it came to inflation. So him leaving is extremely bullish for everything involved with Canada's economy. It's a big consumer economy. It's big with everything going around. So I definitely think that this is a huge, huge boost to Canada and what the potential of a Bitcoin economic strategic reserve could be. So with that, right, I mentioned it previously. What could a potential Bitcoin strategic reserve really mean in Canada? What would that look like? What are some theories that I'm going to toss around here? Because everything is just sort of up in the air at this point as to what it looks like. So the only one that we really have a full-fledged example of is the United States. So I said that at the intro that this could be over $8.2 billion worth of a Bitcoin strategic reserve in Canada. And here I'll dive into the math and show you why. Okay, so let's dive into what the Bitcoin strategic reserve could look like in the United States. First and foremost, so this is a site from Reuters. So what a big Bitcoin strategic reserve would look like would be the United States and President Trump purchasing 200,000 tokens that are surged, or excuse me, that are seized, but they will go and then purchase up about 5% of the total global supply. So this bill would create a program to buy 200,000 Bitcoin annually for 5 years. So that's 1 million Bitcoin, folks. 1 million Bitcoin valued at some quick maths here at 100,000. I know we're a little bit under that, but valued at about 100,000 is $100 billion worth of Bitcoin. So that doesn't include its seized Bitcoin assets here. Now, let's follow the math here, folks. Stay with me. After this, let's look at the US GDP comparatively to Canadian GDP. Well, the US GDP is about $25.4 trillion, where Canada's is $2.14 trillion. Now, that would make for a difference of about 12x difference, excuse me, in their GDP, right? So if the US strategic reserve lined out is worth $100 billion, 12x less than that is $8 billion for 8.2 about billion dollars for their Bitcoin strategic reserve over in Canada. Now, that's if they follow a similar plan to the United States, scaled down, but it's very realistic. Maybe even Canada is even more bullish just because of how bullish Pierre has been on Bitcoin and how bullish he's been for years. I mean, it seems like he's the top choice. Like our friends over at Polymarket are saying that, he's nearly a guarantee to win at this point. And it seems like everybody in the Bitcoin space is extremely, extremely bullish on the next Canadian Prime Minister being Pierre Poilievre. Now, because of all of this, there's even more importance with just the direct impacts of inflation and everything else. Now, Pierre has really made his name by going in front of Parliament and asking a bunch of questions. Now, I got a notification early on in this saying that the audio was messed up from streaming. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play the video I would like to for you guys just yet. But there's a famous clip where Pierre Poilievre simply goes and asks, what is inflation? What is money? Why do we have to have a guaranteed of 2% inflation? And, asking the purposes of many of these taxes. And the other parliament members were simply dumbfounded. They were sitting there twiddling their thumbs. They simply refused to answer. And when he asked them about Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? Asked them just very generic questions. Again, zero response from anybody in the Canadian Parliament. So, with this, Pierre has been really at the forefront of utilizing Bitcoin and really trying to understand Bitcoin for what it all does. But that doesn't mean he hasn't had his critics, folks. He had to bite his tongue a few times when it came to Bitcoin policies because previously, Pierre saw the Bitcoin price drop drastically after he previously mentioned it. When he first mentioned Bitcoin, he saw the Bitcoin price nearly drop from simply 69 70,000 to back to 17. He mentioned it right in the heart of the bull run when everything we got started blowing up. But since that time, his counterpart, Justin Trudeau, did a lot to help him. His counterpart made inflation absolutely run rampant in Canada and just all over the globe. He was one of the leaders when it came to inflation, the economy overinflating, the loony, the toonie, whatever you guys use up in the Great White North up there, has been devaluing against the dollar by the day. And it's a lot of the policies that be put in place, a lot of other issues that Trudeau has had, whether it's, gaslighting the, famous truckers convoy and everything else. It's kind of helped point to more Canadians towards Bitcoin and towards more of a freedom movement, opposed to what Trudeau is doing. And I think people really quit listening to Trudeau after some period of time, and they're seeing Bitcoin absolutely soar once Trudeau came out and mocked Pierre Poilievre about Bitcoin. He mocked it. It's the funny internet money. What are you doing here? So I think, people have really noticed and have seen the Bitcoin community take a huge rise in the country of Canada and really understand why that a Bitcoin strategic reserve could be very beneficial. Being more Bitcoin friendly in Canada would be more beneficial for the entire globe, not just Canada. And it would bring more jobs. I mean, they see the United States, they see President Trump start to talk about a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So who needs to come in there and start to make some waves? It looks like it's going to be Pierre Poilievre here, and he's going to potentially start the next Bitcoin strategic reserve. And it seems like everybody is extremely bullish on him. And we'll see if I can, play. Yep. So this clip right here is a famous clip from from Pierre Poilievre asking what percentage of the debt is owed to the Bank of Canada, and you guys will see you don't need any single. See, so this is a little blurry, and I know that the sound is not potentially operating here. So, but anyway, essentially, Pierre just goes into Parliament and dunks on all of these members of Parliament here, and really just tells them, "Hey, you know." Really understand money. You don't understand the monetary policy. So if you do not understand the monetary policy, why are you able to make policies that affect everyday people, that affect everything else, right? So the government in Canada has been just really overbearing, and people have been really upset with everything that has gone on in Canada over the past few years. So I think the Canadians have finally had enough, and it seems to show in the poly market polls. It seems to show everywhere else. And I think it seems to show when everybody in Canada is looking at the Bitcoin price, seeing it rip and roar here. And it's it was over 100K the other day. We have a little bit of a bear market day. Oh, look at this huge 5% dip that we've gotten here. Here at this sunny Tuesday here down in Medellin, Colombia for your boy. But with all that being said, the Prime Minister of Canada is extremely important for just opening up the doors of everything. some of the issues that we face here in the United States. I mean, we've had a lot of industry just being kind of absorbed, so to speak, by the fiat incentives. One of those in the United States, especially, is the health insurance industry. That's why I've partnered with Crowd Health, folks. It's the best place, the best health insurance alternative. You don't need health insurance. It'll help you find awesome doctors, negotiate your bills, fund those bills through the peer-to-peer funding program. I could even help you fund some of those bills as a member of Crowd Health myself. So go to Crowd Health, join crowdhealth.com. I will give you $50 off a month for the first 3 months. That's 150 cold smackers off if you just use the promo code Green Candle to sign up and join the team, join the revolution against the crooked health insurance industry, because we've seen a lot of crooked industries, folks, that Bitcoin is going to flip on its head, one of those being health insurance. But the true power of Bitcoin, folks, is not just holding your savings technology and seeing the number go up, seeing everything skyrocket. It's really being able to hold your Bitcoin in cold storage, really being able to secure your own wealth, be your own bank. Now, if that sounds like a daunting task for you, you're worried about forgetting your seed phrase, doing all these different kinds of tasks, setting up multi-sig. Is my computer safe? I don't even know. You can meet with the people over at the Bitcoin Way who have over 2 decades worth of cybersecurity experience. They can help you out, get everything secured, and get your Bitcoin off an exchange, which you need to do yesterday, folks. So you can go and book a consultation with them for free if you go to the bitcoinway.com/green candle. I'll give you a free 30-minute consultation. You could do all that even if you want a Plan B passport. They can help you set it up there today. So they've got an outstanding team. So go to the bitcoinway.com/green candle. And remember, folks, with Trudeau stepping down, this poly market chart here is almost more bullish than the Bitcoin chart on how much you could guarantee Pierre is going to win. They got him at 89%. 89%, folks. So it looks like the next Bitcoin world leader is coming, and is coming to a G7 nation, and it's coming quickly, folks. It is coming in the next year. So I'm very bullish on everything that's going on here. So smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend to join the Green Candle Revolution, and come on and check out the next live streams. All right, folks, I appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you all at the next one.